Welcome to the Stop Dieting podcast, hosted by best-selling, award-winning author and renowned weight loss expert, David Medansky. If you struggle to lose weight or you've lost weight and gained it back, you'll want to listen each week. Each week, you will learn tips for healthy weight loss without going on a diet, without having to follow an exercise program, without counting calories, or having to purchase special meals or products. The Stop Dieting podcast is more than just about healthy and sustainable weight loss. You will also learn how you can have more energy, feel better, get rid of brain fog, and improve your overall health. Stay tuned for another informative and insightful episode. And if you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe and share this with your friends.
Hi, this is David Medansky, host of Stop Dieting. Welcome to another episode. Today we have a very special guest, Joshua Self. Joshua is a 2 gold medal winner for the Dexter Jackson Classic competition for bodybuilders. Welcome, Joshua.
Well, thank you for having me, David.
Thanks for being a guest and taking the time. I know you have a very busy schedule. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and your background?
Well, I've been competing for about 10 years now. I'm 45 years old. I started off when I was 35 and just always been an athlete my entire life, from playing basketball and football. Ran track, won state and high jump my junior year. And just, basketball was always my first love. And as I got older, my dreams of becoming a NBA player drifted away. And so, and as you get older, your body just can't react as you wish it could as when you're younger. So I quit playing basketball and I fell in love with the gym. And it was in the New Year's of 2013, I stepped into the gym and I never left. And so it's what I do. It's what I love. I'm very passionate about it. And like anything, I wanted to learn more about it, about what are the best exercises, what are the safest exercises. And I got trained by a master in biomechanics. So I'm very knowledgeable about what to do and what not to do that most people and most trainers do not know. So I consider myself a master trainer. And I feel great at 45, no health issues, no joint pains, no nothing. So, and then I started diving deep into nutrition and talked to a few different doctors and did a lot of research and kind of figured out nutrition as well, as much as I know without studying the human body or blood. So, so that's what I do.
That's great. What was or who was the biggest influence on your career as a bodybuilder?
His name was Doug Brignoli. He was my very first competition was Mr. Olympia. It was for a sport model division, and there were about 137 guys in this competition, and I made it all the way to top 5. Actually, I thought I was going to win. I think everybody thought I was going to win. I was so lean. I dieted so hard. I cut all my carbs out, ate nothing but tilapia for a month. And I remember I was on a productions job and I was so drained of energy that I found myself sucking on a grapefruit on the floor in this office. And what was happening, as I look back, I know what was happening. My body was actually eating my muscle for energy because I just had no glycogen in my system whatsoever. I wasn't consuming any glucose. So my body was just eating my muscle away, which you don't want to do. That kind of contradicted to what a bodybuilder is trying to achieve. So, but after that contest, or actually it was before that contest, I was backstage getting warmed up and I had like this long sweatshirt on. And this photographer came up to me and asked me if I would like to come to Venice Beach and do a photo shoot. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't know what I look like. And he's like, yeah, I can tell. And so after the contest, I went there, met him at Gold's Gym in Venice, and we did our photo shoot. And then after the shoot was over, he's like, "You mind if I do a video of your ab workout?" And I said, "Sure." So I went through like 5 different exercises, and then we said our goodbyes. And then a month later, I get a phone call from this guy, um, kind of explaining to me that everything well, actually, no, let me repeat that. I get an email from him, from the photographer. He sent me a video, and this guy was on there, and he was critiquing every exercise I was doing. And pretty much he was telling me that everything I was doing was pretty much a waste of time. And he was going through each one, telling what's going on with the exercise. And so I got his phone number. I called him up, and he invited me out um, to Hollywood. And so I met him at Equinox in Beverly Hills and trained with him. And after that one session, I kind of understood his point of view of biomechanics, because he taught me biomechanics applied with physics and anatomy. So from him, he's the guy who really turned me on to the knowledge I gained when it comes to resistance training, and I kind of think of myself as a teacher now. So
That's awesome. You bring up an interesting point where you said that because you weren't eating enough carbohydrates or the proper fuel for your body was actually um, eating the muscle and burning the muscle. And a lot of people, when they go on diets and starve themselves, they do the same thing. They don't eat the right fuel or proper nutrition. And so instead of burning fat, they start burning muscle. And as you mentioned, it's detrimental to the body. So I appreciate you bringing that up for the audience.
well, that's a very extreme diet, and it's something what you don't want to do. Your body needs some type of fuel source, and it's either going to be through glucose or through fats. And it's always going to start eating the glucose first, because that's sugar. Once you put that carb into your body, it turns into sugar, and sugar is a toxic to our body. So your body's always going to turn to or burn that glucose first. So if you don't do if you don't eat glucose, then you need to eat fats, and that's the keto diet, and that's what I do. I eat my fats. Now, if you don't eat glucose or fats, that's where once your body eats away all the glycogen in your body, then that's where it turns to eating your muscle away.
That's great to tell the audience that so they're aware of it. Now, people always probably come up to you and say they would love to have the type of body that you have. Could you explain what is required and necessary to get in the condition that you are? Because people don't always understand how much work and effort it takes to accomplish what you've accomplished.
Right. I got a few people come up to me and say that. And it's funny, when Forbes is with me, my wife, she's like, "No, you don't. You don't know what he has to go through to get that body." And it's just consistently in the gym, every single day, working your butt off, and also nutrition. I mean, 85% of what you look like is from nutrition. The other half is through exercising, but it's just being consistent and being dedicated, and having a goal. My goals was always a competition. I got a competition coming up in 5 months. I got to get ready for it. That's 5 months I'm going to prepare for it. That's 5 months that I'm eating healthy and keeping myself active. So it's a lifestyle.
How many hours do you spend in the gym on a typical day?
Between around 2 hours, I would say.
Okay.
So, but that's trying to get to the elite level that I need to be. Most people goals are not that, so they don't have to spend that much time. So it's mostly doing high volume sets that takes a lot of time. So I'm talking between 9 to 15 sets per exercise. So if you do the correct exercise, you only have to really do one exercise for that one muscle.
And when you're not in the gym, what is your day job, so to speak?
Well, I do editing, I do camera work, I do photography. So I'm either behind the computer or behind a camera. So
Okay.
um,
Do you take on clients as far as fitness and training?
actually, yeah, I've been teaching a class on Zoom every Wednesday for the last 3 weeks. I got one coming up, and I offered that if anybody wanted to come and I'll train them. And I actually have a gym in our studio that I built, and the one of the girls in my class, she lives in Tampa, and she took me up on that offer. So just 2 days ago, her and her daughter came, and I trained them, and they 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 loved me, I should say. Oh, and they also love Forbes, of course, because Forbes was there doing videos, and we did some spin gym training. If you don't know what spin gym is, to your audiences, spin gym is a fitness product that my wife created, and it's pretty much the greatest fitness product ever because you can take it anywhere. You can put it in your purse or in your pocket and do it on a train and an airplane. There you go. You can do that anywhere. So there you go. So I
It's a
do.
little.
So I use that to warm up with. I think that's the best thing to be able to get your muscles warmed up, get the blood flowing, your joints working. So I use that every day in the gym before I start working out, before I hit those weights.
What type of food do you eat as far as putting the right fuel into your body? Because at different phases in your training, you're doing different things. I think they call it cycling.
Uh, well, I don't really do cycling. Most people like when they're on the off season. Off season's like where you're supposed to put on a lot of muscle, muscle mass by eating a lot. I don't believe in that. I don't. I believe in more of quality over quantity. So high dense nutrient foods. So a lot of cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli or cauliflower, kale, spinach, um, arugula. So I do love high dense foods that has a lot of electrolytes in it. So electrolytes are like your potassium, magnesium, and sodium. So I eat at least 7 to 10 cups of vegetables a day. With usually I'll eat some eggs. Eggs is the most complete protein you can eat. Your body absorbs mostly all of it. If it doesn't absorb, what it doesn't absorb goes into your muscles as glycogen. So I eat about 4 eggs a day, and I always make some type of protein in with my salads with a bunch of nuts. So protein I usually eat is salmon, um, mostly salmon. I, I like fish. I eat some beef. Um, I try to stay away from chicken, unless I know that if that chicken is came from a pasture raised, and um, so you just got to be careful of what meat you eat because you got to like for beef, you got to make sure it's grass fed and grass finished. Um, Eggs and chickens is pastured raised, um, not free ranged. So it's all about the quality of the meat and what they feed the animals because you don't want GMO and um, you know um, all this other crap they put into the food into the animals. So just got to be cautious of what to eat.
No, you're correct on it, especially with the eggs. I know people get fooled by the marketing of the eggs on the cartons because
Right.
it'll say, cage free or range free.
Yeah.
And you're right, it needs to be pasture eggs. And the difference for the audience is pasture eggs are where the hens are actually outside and they forage for their own food. So they're eating the bugs, the grass, whatever they can find. Where it says cage free or range free means that they have the ability to go outside. However, when you see those large coops that they're put in, those hens never get outside. And
Right. They
also,
just have like
yeah,
a door on the side that only a few of them can get out.
exactly. And the other part is on the cartons, it may say special feed or grain fed. And that's where you got to be careful because that means it's soy or corn or a combination of both in there. And so when people think they're gluten free, they're not.
Right. So they're all trying to trick you to buying their products, and so you got to be careful what products you buy.
Exactly. And I agree with you on the chicken. I tend to avoid it whenever possible, unless I know where the source is, because it's what I tell people is it's not so much the food we're eating, it's what they've done to the food that we're eating.
Right. I mean, if you think about how many people are in the United States and how many chickens they got to produce to feed all of us, man, that's a lot of chickens, and you got to be cautious. You're like, you got to be wondering, like, how are they going to produce all these chickens for all of us? So a lot of it's coming from bad sources.
Yeah. And when you talk about your eggs, I know you mentioned before in the video I saw that you like the eggs to be a little bit runny.
Yeah, the more runny, the yellow, the yolk has the most nutrition and it even has more protein in the yolk than the white. Um, so the more runny it is, the easier your body can digest it and absorb the nutrients.
And if somebody wanted to get in touch with you to get, for your training, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
So I got an online course. It's at joshuafitness.com. You can also find me on Facebook. I got a group, my self image fitness group. You can find me there at Joshua Self as well.
What, well, and when you talk about the nuts that you put into your salads, what type of nuts do you like to eat in the salads?
So pretty much when it comes to nuts, you got to make sure that the fats are higher than the ratio. The carbs and the fats are they want the fats higher. So the best nuts are macadamians, which are pretty damn expensive. Pecans are right up there. They're not as expensive. Um, I do walnuts. Those are the major. Brazilian nuts are good. You want to stay away from cashews. That's not even a nut, that's a fruit. So I think cashews and almonds are the most addictive nuts there are. So you always have to look at the serving size and the fat and the carb ratio. And so I try to stay away from almonds. If you eat almonds, you want to soak them because they got to have an enzymes on them that's hard for a lot of people to digest. And then after you soak them, they just don't taste very good. So, but I do lots of seeds too. So I do sunflower seeds, I do pumpkin seeds, hemp seeds. So I put all those in my salads. I mean, that's where most of my fats are coming from. In my salads are all through nuts and seeds.
And when you talk about the seeds, the pumpkin seeds and the sunflower seeds, those are normally raw and unsalted.
Yeah, all these nuts and seeds are all raw. Now, when it comes to salt, you want salt. You need about 2,300 milligrams of salt on the keto diet because you lose a lot of water weight, and then once you lose that water weight, that's where all your electrolytes gets flushed out of your system. So you always have to keep putting the electrolytes in your body. So you just got to be careful of what type of salt you get. You just can't get your typical refined salt. You want to get either pink Himalayan or sea salt.
So avoid the Morton salt and the.
Oh yeah, those are just heart attacks waiting. That's horrible for you.
Uh, what would you say is the person or maybe a book that influenced you the most other than your master trainer?
Um, I would say I watch a lot of videos. I don't really read too many books. As you know, video is king. So I watch a lot of Dr. Berg on YouTube. I watch Thomas DeLauer. Thomas was 280 pounds at one point, and he's a has knowledge in biochemistry. So he really dives deep into what foods can, do to you, and so he's fun to watch. Dr. Berg's more kind of get to the point, makes it more on layman's terms so we can understand it more. Those are the two biggest
And
influence for me.
how would you spell Dr. Berg's last name so people get the right spelling?
Berg.
And do you know his first name?
I just call him Doc. His first name's Eric, but he Doctor Berg. They're both keto specialists. Thomas DeLauer is Delauer. So
What advice could you give the audience if somebody wanted to start doing bodybuilding like you do?
get my program so you can learn what to do and what not to do, because there's so many exercises that we've been taught as a kid, a lot of grandfather exercises that are just not healthy for you, such as an overhead press. Pushing weight over your head is just a horrible exercise on your shoulders. Dips is the worst exercise you can do, and it doesn't even work your tricep. Incline press is a waste of time. Barbell squats, deadlifts, they're all horrible on your lower back, and they'll cause a herniated disc. Um, there's just so many exercises that you shouldn't do, and for health reasons and for efficiency reasons. I mean, if I when I go to the gym, I make sure that every exercise I do, I know it's the most efficient because I know the mechanics behind it.
And
So
so I guess the most important thing is to look at the mechanics and how the person's teaching the mechanics and what their training is, correct?
right, every muscle has a primary function. Um, a muscle, pretty much all it does is moves a single bone that it's attached to in a certain direction. They also assist in some other motions of that bone, but knowing that and knowing how that muscle contracts from the insertion to the origin of the muscle, studying the blueprint, the anatomy is pretty much the blueprint, and you could just knowing these elements will guide you to do the correct exercises. But the thing is, nobody teaches it. I'm the only one I know besides Doug, who taught me, who knows this information. I see so many people in the gym doing the wrong, bad exercises, or exercises that are just not doing anything. Like I see people do this, have a weight in their hand, and they're pushing out this way, thinking they're working their chest, or even laying down on their back doing this exercise. This is not working their chest at all. It's, so knowing the direction the resistance is going is a major key to knowing proper exercises. So um, I teach all this in my course. And if you don't know it, then you're going to either have long-term injuries as you get older, or you're just not going to get results because you're doing the wrong exercises.
And what's your opinion or feelings about push-ups?
Well, push-ups. I mean, I don't. You know how many push-ups I do?
Probably zero.
I do zero. Uh, Pushing weight is more efficient, and it's going to really isolate your pectoral muscle or your tricep or your front delt than a push-up can. But if that's all, if I'm in a jail cell, if I'm a prisoner, and that's all I got, then that's all I got. You got to work with what you got. But I don't do any push-ups. Well, push-ups isn't harmful. It's just not that very efficient.
Okay. Um, and what would you say is the most efficient exercise for one exercise for the audience?
Well, you have to give me a body. Okay, I give you. So everybody does an overhead press, working the front delts. It does work the front delt, but at a cost of injury. So there's a thing called impingement syndrome. It's pretty much a muscle, a rotator muscle gets pinched between two bones every time you do this motion. As I do this motion now, it's getting pinched. But imagine if I got weight coming down, and I can do 150 pounds. I want to build muscle. Imagine how much that tendon is getting pinched with that weight coming down. So, I mean, and also think about how often do you put your hands over your head? You never put your hands over your head. So why would you go to the gym and do it? So the main function for your front delt is allow the upper arm bone, the humerus, to move forward. When you rotate your arm up, it is moving forward, but at the cost of injury. So my tip would be lay down on a flat bench, have dumbbells, put your elbows in, and keep your arm bent and push straight out. Just like this. This is moving this bone forward, which is all front delt, laying down on your back. That's a more efficient and safer exercise than doing this here. I mean, could you imagine trying to put 120, 100 to 150 pounds up on your knee and over your head and then do this? It's so much, it's hard. So you can do it a lot easier by the way I just said.
Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense, especially I've been talking to, friends in my age group, which is over 65, because I'm 67, and they're having issues with rotator cuffs,
Yep.
especially, and it's probably because of the type of exercises they've been doing
Yep.
throughout their lives, thinking that they're being healthy when really they're causing damage to the body.
Very true. And that's why they're not working out anymore, because they just can't, because they got a long-term injury, and that injury is just preventing them from working out and doing certain exercises. So, that's where I come in. It's like I teach you what to do. And so you don't come to that point of feeling like that as you get older.
That's awesome. Tell people again how they can reach out to you so they know how to reach you.
So my course is at joshuafitness.com. I got videos on there that explains the biomechanics behind every exercise and shows you the exercise. And so you know exactly what to do without harming yourself in the long run. And at the same time, you're going to get results faster.
And your course is also for people who just want to be physically fit, not necessarily be a bodybuilder per se.
Well, very true. I mean, we all have the same bones with the same muscles to operate those bones. If you're man or woman, it doesn't really matter. It really matters is your goal. How many sets and reps you want to do? How much weight do you want to push? The more reps you can do with heavier weight, the bigger and stronger you're going to become. So you can still get results by doing 4 to 5 sets, but if you want to get to the level I'm at, then you got to do a lot more. So it's all about doing the correct exercises.
Well, this has been a very interesting and enlightening episode and session. I appreciate your wisdom that you're sharing with our audience and with myself. Thanks again, Joshua, for being a guest. And again, they can reach you at joshuafitness.com.
Yep, that's right. Well, thank you for having me, David.
Thanks for listening to the Stop Dieting podcast. Remember to like and subscribe so you won't miss a single episode to get more healthy eating and lifestyle tips. Motivate and inspire others to be healthy by sharing with your friends.